She didn't say a word, not one, and her child never rushed, not once. I watched this and I couldn't understand it. How? Most mornings in my house feel like a battlefield. Shoes missing, breakfast untouched, clock moving faster than anyone in the room. And I am doing everything right, reminding, repeating, warning, pleading, and still late every single time. But this Japanese mother, silent, still, unhurried, and her child, ready, calm, moving like the morning belonged to her. I needed to know why. Here's what I found, and it will change the way you see every single morning for the rest of your life. Japan has one of the lowest childhood anxiety rates in the developed world. Not because Japanese children have easier lives, not because they have more time, because their mothers understand something about the human brain that most of us were never taught. Something so simple it almost feels like a mistake. Something that takes more courage than any punishment, any reward chart, any parenting book you have ever read. They don't rush their children, ever.
Not because they have extra time, because they made a decision. A quiet, daily, deeply intentional decision. And that decision has a name. We'll get to it, but first, I need to show you what rushing is actually doing to your child's brain, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Have you ever noticed what happens to a child's face the moment you say, "Hurry up"? Watch it closely next time. The jaw tightens, the shoulders rise, the hands, whatever they were doing, fumble. The task that was almost complete suddenly falls apart. You think you are helping them move faster. You are not. You are triggering a stress response in a brain that is not yet built to handle it. Researchers at the University of Minnesota studying early childhood stress published their findings in the journal Child Development. What they found stopped me cold. Children who are frequently rushed during their early years develop what scientists call chronic urgency responses. Their nervous systems begin to treat ordinary morning transitions, waking up, eating, getting dressed, as emergencies, not occasionally, every single day. The body learns to panic on command, and a body that panics every morning becomes a child who cannot sit still, cannot focus, cannot regulate their emotions when something goes wrong at school or anywhere else. We are not raising impatient children, we are creating them, one hurry up at a time.
But here's the thing, this is not your fault. You were handed a culture that worships speed, that calls busyness productivity, that sees a slow child as a problem to be fixed rather than a rhythm to be respected. You were taught that a good parent keeps things moving, gets things done, manages the morning like a project. You were lied to, quietly, completely, and so was I. Here's what's fascinating. In Japan, the concept of rushing a child does not just feel wrong, it is considered disrespectful. Not inconvenient, not frustrating, disrespectful. The idea that a child's natural internal rhythm, the pace at which their brain and body wake up and engage with the world, could be overridden by an adult's schedule is something that sits against one of Japan's deepest cultural beliefs, and that belief has a name: ma. Japanese mothers do not fill every moment, they protect the gaps. They understand that a child who is never given space will never learn to generate their own momentum, that a child who is always directed will never develop direction, that a child who is always rushed will never learn to move with purpose. Think about what that means for the mornings in your home. Now, let's go back to that mother in Kyoto. Because what she is doing is not simply being quiet, she is performing something. Every movement she makes is deliberate and unhurried. She is not ignoring her daughter standing at the doorway. She is showing her daughter what a morning looks like when it is owned, when it is not survived but inhabited. And the daughter, without a single instruction, begins to move at the same pace, not because she was told to, because the pace was already in the room, already in the air, already in her mother's hands as they moved over the kitchen counter. This is the second concept, mite moru. The mother sees the child knows she is seen, and that knowledge, that quiet, unspoken recognition is enough. No praise, no correction, no narration, just presence, just trust. Here's where it gets interesting. A study conducted by researchers at Kyoto University and published in the Japanese Journal of Developmental Psychology compared morning routines of families in Tokyo with families in London and New York. They counted the number of verbal instructions given to children between waking up and leaving the house. The average Western family, and this includes me, this includes probably you, gave between 35 and 50 verbal directives in that window. Hurry up, eat your breakfast, where are your shoes, come on, we're late, put that down. Japanese families averaged fewer than 12, and yet the Japanese children were equally prepared, equally on time, and by every measure in the study, significantly calmer when they arrived at school. Fewer words, more presence, deeper results. And here's the part nobody talks about. Doing this is harder than rushing. It takes more out of you. It requires you to regulate your own nervous system while your child moves at a pace that makes your chest tight. To breathe when you want to bark. To trust when everything in you wants to control. Japanese mothers describe this as a daily practice, an active choice made against their own internal pressure every single morning. It is not a personality type, it is a discipline, which means, and this is the part that should give you hope, it is learnable, starting tonight. Quick question before we get to the last part. When was the last time your child woke up and moved through a morning without you saying hurry even once? If you cannot remember, that is not failure, that is information, and information is where change begins. Here is your first tactic. Tomorrow morning, set your alarm 15 minutes earlier than your child's, not to get more done, to get less urgent. Use those 15 minutes to move through your own morning slowly. Make your tea, sit, breathe. Let the quiet exist before anyone else enters it. When your child wakes and finds you already calm, already unhurried, their nervous system will begin to mirror yours before you speak a single word. This is not philosophy, this is neuroscience. Children co-regulate with the adults closest to them. Your calm becomes their calm. Your panic becomes their panic. Choose first. Here is the practice. For 1 week, just 7 days, cut your verbal morning instructions in half. Not to 0, in half. Instead of saying, "Put your shoes on, we need to go," walk to the door and begin putting your own shoes on. Let the action lead. Let the child observe. Let them follow. You will be stunned by how quickly they do and how different the departure feels in your body when it happens without a single raised voice. Here's what to do tonight. When your child comes home, from school, from anywhere, resist the first question for 5 full minutes. Do not ask, "How was your day?" Do not ask, "What did you learn?" Let them arrive. Offer something physical, a snack, a hug if they want one. Then wait. Let them come to you. Let Ma exist between the door and the conversation. And then listen to what they say when they finally speak. Because children who are given space to arrive always have more to say. Always. This is not a parenting trick. It is a relationship with time itself. Japanese mothers do not rush their children because they understand something that no productivity culture has ever been able to teach: that a child who is given the right pace builds an internal rhythm that stays with them for life, that the habits of the morning become the architecture of the mind, that a child who learns to move through the world without manufactured urgency becomes an adult who can sit inside difficulty, real difficulty, without falling apart. The mother in Kyoto already knew this. Now you do too. If this video shifted something in the way you see your mornings, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more on how the world's wisest cultures quietly build calmer, more confident children, subscribe. There's a lot more coming. See you in the next one.